Hello, everybody. Welcome to my BookTube channel, Marlicia's Meanderings. I am Marlicia, also known as Marlicia Muses. And I am here today because I was tagged for the Childhood Book Tag. Childhood Books Tag? I was tagged by You Could Be Reading More. And this tag was created originally, as far as I know, by Fantastic Magical. Okay. There are 10 prompts plus a tag, other people, and so I will get started. The first question was, were you a big reader as a child? Yes, I was a big reader as a child. My mom, well, I'll get to that later. I loved to be read to when I was younger, and I loved to make up stories when I was younger. So even before I could read, I would make up stories. And when I was small, I can remember sitting with my parents and they had the book open and I would read the story that I'd memorized and put my finger under the words. Might not be the right words, but, reading along the way my parents would do as they showed me the words that they were reading. Prompt number 2, did your parents read to you? If so, what? Yes, my parents read to us. Both my parents read to us, but especially my mom. And she would read all kinds of books to us. I can remember going to the library and picking out books, pick out a book on John F. Kennedy, and then something I would want to read because as a kid I didn't really care for nonfiction necessarily, but I found that book interesting. And it wasn't always to pick out a book at my level to read. It could also be that she would want to read it to me. And so I have lots of fond memories of my parents reading to me. I don't recall bedtime stories so much, but I'm sure they did something of that sort. But I do remember being read to and reading with my parents. My first bookish memory. What was my first bookish memory? I'm not really sure. I seem to remember a book about a turtle. It was a little, those little hard books. They're baby books, and they have really thick, like cardboard kind of pages, cardstock, but more so. And it was a book about a turtle. I don't remember the story. I just remember that it was about a turtle. And that's probably my first bookish memory that I can recall. Number 4, be honest. Did you read books assigned to you in school? Yes, I was one of those kids. I read all the books I was told to read in school, whether I liked them or not. I developed a very eclectic, appetite, if you will, for different genres. I enjoyed many different kinds of genres. At that point, even horror, if you called Edgar Allan Poe horror. I never did like the supernatural horror or the really bloody kind of stuff, but I had a pretty wide range, potentially or partially because I read everything they told me to read in school. I enjoyed school. I enjoyed reading the books they gave me to read. Where did you get your books as a child? Number 5. Where did you get your books as a child? When I was younger, mostly as gifts from my parents or, people, relatives or friends who gave me birthday gifts or just wanted to share something with me. A lot of times from the library. As they say, I have very fond memories of going to the library probably once a week or once every 2 weeks to go and get books to read. Number 6, did you watch any television meant to inspire reading? Yes. I'm going to date myself. I watched Captain Kangaroo. He and Mr. Green Jeans would talk about different kinds of books, similar to like when LeVar Burton with Reading Rainbow. Captain Kangaroo, he introduced me to Mike Mulligan and Marianne, the steam shovel, and to Ping the duck. Still hold a very, very special place in my heart. So yes, I would have to say mostly Captain Kangaroo. I kind of came at the tail end of that, but I remember very much the books he would bring onto the show. Number 7, what sort of genres or storylines did you like? I've always gravitated, I think, toward mysteries. That was my first love. Nancy Drew, Hardy Boys, Beverly Gray, Encyclopedia Brown, things like that. I enjoyed those kinds of books very, very much. After a while, I really liked, well, let me backtrack a little bit. When I was in 5th and 6th grade, we had teachers who really pushed reading. And after recess, to get everybody to kind of mellow out a little bit after running around outside, they would read, or they would put something on the record player with the actual records, those brown things that ran on a turntable, and you had to listen to it with a needle on it, Okay, yeah. Records. Okay. They not CDs, not MP3s or tapes. They were records, and they would. I'm older than dirt. Anyway, that's where I got introduced to Edgar Allan Poe. We listened to The Telltale Heart on a record player. Our teachers would read things like Madeleine L'Engle's Wrinkle in Time. We listened to several Jack Londons, To Build a Fire, and what's the name of the I'm gonna lose it. There's a couple about dogs, and I can't think of it right now, but if I remember, I will come back to it. But all of Jack London's type of things, and just a variety of things that then I would go in the library and look it up and read about it. I think we read Balto maybe at that time. There's just a real, without saying, okay, you need to read, it's important to read, they just made it enjoyable. We would sit there with our, they had paper. I remember one of my teachers in particular, I think it was my 5th grade teacher, we had all our desks, and then on the side of the classroom was a big cabinet, if you will, where things were underneath, and then on top she would have graph paper and regular paper, butcher paper, and all that kind of stuff. And we would just take and draw while she was reading, and it was instilling a real love of reading, at least in me. And oddly enough, the other thing that kind of instilled a love of reading for me was the old SRA tests, where you would, every year they would give you these SRA tests, and you'd have to read. There's some kind of kit that went with it. I wish I could remember the name of it. I should. I mean, I was a teacher, but I don't remember the name of it. Where you had to see what level you were. You would go through all the different exercises. You'd read something, and you'd answer the questions, and you'd move up. And I loved those. So, yeah. Okay, let's see here. I think I went off topic a little bit, but I'm prone to doing that. Number 8, favorite children's or picture book? That's hard. I'd have to say children's books would have to be a very close tie, if not a tie, between Ping and Mike Mulligan and Mary Ann. I really love those books. Witness that those are the only 2 I really, really remember from being a small child. And I was just fascinated. Mike Mulligan and Mary Ann, the fact that they gave the steam shovel a personality, and that the man would not leave the steam shovel, just kind of made a deep impression on my little 4-year-old or 3-year-old self. And then Ping, I just love Ping. Ping's about a little duck on the Yangtze River, and maybe people in my age group remember Ping. I don't know if it's still available. It's a really cute book. So those 2 are probably my favorites. Number 9, favorite chapter or big kids book? Hmm, that's not much easier. I'm very much of a mood reader, so trying to find a favorite chapter book or big kids book is difficult. If we're sticking to kids' books, and when I was a kid, I'd probably have to say Anne of Green Gables, the whole series, but particularly Anne of Green Gables and Little Women. They're, something I would read over and over again, along with Jack London's, um, I wish I could remember, White Fang. That's it, White Fang, and To Build a Fire, and there's one other. It was his works. Those are probably my favorite children's, older children's chapter book kind of books. Oh, and Madeline L'Engle's Wrinkle in Time. Madeline L'Engle's Wrinkle in Time actually introduced me to fantasy. My dad tried to introduce me to fantasy with J.R.R. Tolkien's, I think it was The Hobbit he gave me first. And I tried to like it, but I wasn't ready for it at that point. I love The Hobbit now. I love The Lord of the Rings now. But at that particular point in time, I think I was a preteen, I wasn't ready for it. But I did love Madeline L'Engle's Wrinkle in Time. I found that fascinating, absolutely fantastic. I didn't even know about Narnia at that time. And I think even if I had, Narnia would have been up there with Tolkien where I needed to mature a little bit. But yeah, so I had definite favorite series were things like a favorite chapter or big kids books were Anne of Green Gables and Wrinkle in Time, Little Women, and the Jack London short stories. I think I got ahead of myself. The 10th prompt is favorite children's series. Anne of Green Gables, Little Women. Oh, I forgot to mention Rose and Bloom. Okay, Eight Cousins and Rose and Bloom is also by Louisa May Alcott. So she falls in both 9 and 10, those books. It's a 2-book series. Eight Cousins is first, and then Rose and Bloom, and I absolutely love that series. It's amazing. So Nancy Drew, Hardy Boys, the Eight Cousins, Rose and Bloom stories, Little Women series, and Anne of Green Gables series. I can't say that I liked the Madeline L'Engle series. For one thing, I wasn't aware there was a series until I started homeschooling my girls. And even when I was homeschooling them, they weren't, the rest of the series wasn't as important to me as the first one, which I just thought was phenomenal. So I guess I have several favorite series, and some of those remain favorites. I do reread many of those because they are enjoyable. Okay, so that's all I have for my childhood books tag, except to tag people. So I will tag people below the video rather than waste your time. But I do want to thank you for joining me here for my meanderings through my childhood and my childhood books tag. There we go. I wish you a very wonderful evening and weekend, and I hope to see you next time I record. God bless. Have a great evening.